What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Panthers Nation Network. I'm Jack at Shantice, and finally had a bye week.
Yeah, bro, I needed this break. It was good just to get a chance to watch everybody.
Right?
Good to see things work out in our favor while we didn't have to play. I know how things typically go. Like if we needed somebody
absolutely.
to lose, it's typically going the other way. But we got some help. We got some necessary help.
Look at the Bucks are bleeding. They're
Yeah.
bleeding, and that's with Baker in or not. And there's a chance Mike Evans comes back, but even then, how much is he's not putting up an 1,000-yard season. He's losing the streak.
Yeah.
He's on the tail end of his career and coming off of an injury that late in the year.
Like how quickly can he acclimate back to playing at a high level is going to be the biggest question. And I mean, could he do it? Knowing how our luck runs, he could have.
He absolutely could.
He absolutely could. But if I'm being realistic, I don't foresee him coming back and being able to duplicate his earlier success.
And it'd be one thing if the Bucks had just lost that Saints game, right? We could chalk it up to the same way the Panthers lost the Saints game the first time around, not paying enough attention to it, kind of falling to the wayside, being slumped down, and then the Saints pulling over. But they've been on what, a 4-5-1 since their bye? 4-1 since their bye?
Who?
The Bucks. They've lost.
Yeah.
I think it's been however many games.
They've been skidding for it. I know they've been skidding for the last month.
So it's like you can't even chalk up the loss to the Saints as like just a fluke game.
No, and not only that too. The thing that we're starting to realize now is that Tyler Shuck, he's got real game to him. And I saw it live and we all saw it live and in person when the Saints came to Charlotte. Didn't necessarily believe it. You just kind of thought that was just us being us. But no, after going on the road, he's gotten 2 road victories against divisional opponents. That's pretty damn impressive.
For the offense that they're Kamara-less, offense for the Bucks this time around.
No Rashid Shaheed.
No Rashid Shaheed. You do have Chris Olave, but like barely.
Barely. Yeah, and he's in and out of the lineup a lot. So again, I think that's the one thing I probably learned over this past month is that he's got some real game, and the reason why teams were looking at him and teams our team decided to take him as high as they did, it makes sense.
No, it does. You want to go shut that? As he goes and shuts the door here at the undisclosed location. No, so yeah, and it's funny because they had a fairly similar schedule to the Panthers. Games against the 49ers, beating the 49ers, beating the Seahawks. That's early in the season though, right? These games that were like, oh wow, this is actually something. They almost lost to the Jets. Then they had that blowout game against the Saints, 23-3 that they won. And then they lost to the Patriots in a close game. Lost to the Bills, 44-32. Lost to the Rams, 34-7. Just barely beat the Cardinals. In a game where that would have been a dream come true if the Cardinals could have pulled that off because that was probably the last chance we thought they had to lose a game.
Right.
But now, outside of the ones that we need them to lose. But now, they have the Falcons, of course, Thursday night, and we'll put that out this probably beforehand that game. Right. Us twice and the Dolphins. More than likely, I would still say they beat the Dolphins.
I don't.
You don't think so?
Dolphins are playing well, bro.
I guess they are 6-7.
Dolphins have turned things around, and how they play, how Tampa's playing right now, I can't say they beat anybody.
Yeah, I think it's because it's been a complete breakdown offensively and defensively. Their defense has in years past been their kind of anchor, and you've seen it in the way they've been able to hold games to close bets, But this time around, not so much. And on the flip side, the Saints, their defense firing at all cylinders.
In fact, they're getting after it. I think here's the thing. I really love that the Saints won that game, obviously because it helps us out.
Absolutely.
But it also doesn't allow for our guys to sleep on this game whatsoever. As if you could anyway,
right?
Because you already lost to them,
right?
So you already know you couldn't sleep. But it does heighten up the importance of being diligent, staying on your toes. You know what I'm saying? Reading your keys. Really staying up on game and not being able to allow yourself to fall asleep at the wheel. So, and then after getting a big win on that over the Rams, I think this was perfect in order to keep this team focused because we know the focus of this team seems to have it kind of goes up and down. You see a young team trying to figure it out. I think the Saints getting that victory doesn't allow you to have to. It doesn't allow you to take a back seat and chill.
No, it doesn't. And I think that you need to, and it was great to have the Falcons game too right before that, reasserting some sort of presence on the road in divisional opponent because we've seen at home, you put the Panthers up against anybody this
Yeah.
season, and they can win, and they have. We've seen it against LA. We saw it against Dallas. They've been able to do so. Outside of that Saints game being the literal, the Saints and the Bills. The Saints really being the only game where they, truly just didn't even show up.
Right.
Because even in the Bills game, they showed up in the first half, and
Like,
they
plays
just,
were made in the first half. You just had too many mistakes by your offense at that point.
and a
to
Bryce
overcome.
Youngless team as well.
Exactly.
But outside of that, they've shown up every other game, but they've needed to on the road is where they've really lacked that consistency as well. So doing so in New Orleans, like you said, you can't write it off because essentially you're in the playoffs right now as the Carolina Panthers. You have some wiggle room, but you can control your own destiny if you win this game, especially if the Falcons pull one over against the Bucs, which, again, they're up and down, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, here's the thing. I fully expect the Saints to beat I fully expect the Buccaneers to beat the Falcons.
Yes. I expect the Falcons to play worse because they know it will help the Panthers out.
It definitely feels like that. So I have I know we'll be in a must-win scenario this weekend coming up for sure.
Yeah, and you're going to have to really play that consistency that we've talked about because these Saints, the Saints defense, which has always been a thorn in the Panthers side, is holding up its own for what it's supposed to have been, for true Saints teams. The offense, you can't write them off because whether it's Kamara or Devin Neal now, they can still put up yards on the ground.
Absolutely, and the one thing that Tyler Shuck has shown here in these past few weeks is that he has running ability as well.
That too.
He showed it against us a little bit, but since then they've implemented it more, and it was very apparent in that Buccaneers game. He had a lot of big time scrambles, a lot of big time runs that definitely helped them tilt the scales on that game. So you really got. I mean, there really is no slacking in it when it comes down to this kind of matchup. And I mean, now another thing too. I need to see Bryce Young and Dave Canales fight their demons in that stadium in particular.
Yes.
Because if we go all the way back to last year, season opener, that was probably the worst showing. That was not even probably. That is the worst showing I've ever seen the Carolina Panthers start a season out with. A 47-10 loss.
Yeah,
that is the worst.
Yeah, that's definitely the worst.
Probably up there with that Philadelphia season opener in 2009.
Yeah, I mean, and of course I go back to Broncos after the Super Bowl. That was even a close game.
Yeah.
You just missed your damn field goal.
But you shouldn't be playing a tight game with Trevor Siemian, but that's neither here nor there.
I always forget that. That's how much I blanked it out of my mind. That was the quarterback at that time. I forgot. But yeah, you're right, and they need to exercise their demons there, play a complete game, both offensively and defensively as well, because, whatever juju they've had where they've been able to hold down most tight ends hasn't worked with Jawan Johnson, and we can see how much he is Shuck's safety valve, as he should be, with an athletic tight end like he is, and hopefully Roseboom's back in the mix. We saw Trevor Wallace obviously make his impact against LA, so you hope Roseboom can make an impact there. And Merrick as well, coming down because he's really been, again, everything that you've wanted Merrick to be.
No, absolutely. But I mean, but even when we talk about, and I know we not really on this, but just even talk about Lathan Ransom.
Oh, but we can, absolutely.
Remember when he got drafted, we were like, we didn't really know. We liked him,
yeah,
but we weren't sure because, we was like, man, it's a same skill set. Like how is this gonna work? Lathan Ransom, first of all, has shown that he has the ability to be able to cover.
Yeah.
And they can trust him in coverage scenarios, which is big time. But getting that starting role, he played the exact same style of ball that we got at Trayvon Moehrig, and for that to be another rookie pickup, for that to be a young guy that came in and stepped up, and just for all the guys that have come in and stepped up in place and because of injuries, big time. I can't front it all on that. I mean, it definitely outplayed what I thought my expectations were for him.
Oh, absolutely. And we knew that we kind of needed to get that from him. Everybody pretty much but Cam Jackson, who we just haven't needed to see on the field, has had an impact from that rookie class. And even more so if we really look at it from the rookie class year before as well. Like, you're fine. Like, you don't want to, put your, count your eggs before they hatch. But, Dan Morgan has been lights out these last two seasons.
Here's the thing, man. Whether he's drafted superstars or not, these guys are at the very least contributors.
That's all we need.
And that's all you need. Like Trevor Wallace was a third-round linebacker.
Right.
To get starting level play out of him is pretty huge. Lathan Ransom was the third.
I think he was the fourth pick because it would have been. He was, I think, the fifth actual guy drafted because you would have had T-Mac, then you would have had two edges.
Yep.
And then you would have had – well, actually, you might have gotten picked before ETN. He got picked before.
Yeah,
Etienne.
I think he did got picked before Etienne.
So I think he was the 4th.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking your 4th pick from this past class, being able to come in and starting the game for you against the number 1 team in the NFC. Some would say the number 1 team in the league at the time when you beat them. It's just a lot of conversations that have to be had about the Panthers. They're not. Now, these conversations aren't really happening nationally. They're starting to pick up a little bit of steam about, like, who are the Carolina Panthers? Like, do we take them seriously?
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had our games where we've kind of let everybody down, in front of the world.
Of course.
But when you talk about some of our wins, we have some of the best wins in the league.
You have the 2 biggest upsets this season in the games in terms of what the game was slated to be, like statistically against the Packers and the Rams. You have both 1 and 2.
Yeah, like, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody can take that away from, like they're capable. Like, if they get in, all right, well, how serious do we take the Carolina Panthers? I'm like, well, they beat the Rams.
Yeah.
Beat the Packers on the road. How can you not take them serious at this point?
It's that small market.
Yeah.
You're always going to get not looked at because of the small market. Because even Chicago, who obviously have done enough to garner that respect, probably got a little bit more focus because it's Chicago.
Yeah.
It's one of the the bell cows of the NFL, one of the originals. So they're going to get that.
They're going to get that love.
But even, I mean, you're looking at their record compared to our record. It's 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then if you want to go deeper, I mean, like I said, just look at who you've played and look at who you've beaten. The Panthers have legitimate wins. Like, you're going to get to 7 wins at this point without beating somebody. And if you look at some of the games that you won that maybe at the time people didn't think would mean as much, look at that Cowboys game.
right?
The same Cowboys that went and beat Philly and Kansas City back-to-back weeks.
Right.
Now they have a chance right now to fight for their division. I think they have an outside shot at it. I don't think
It's going to be rough for them.
But that's a team that has gone on to beat good teams since. Look at the Dolphins. That's a team now. The record says 6-7. They've turned it around from where they were. They've turned it around vastly. So it's like
It's an AFC 6-7.
Yeah. AFC 6-7. So.
And even and you flip that, the losses that the Panthers had that at the beginning of the year looked shitty. I mean, you look at the Jags now; they're fighting for the division and will probably lock it down.
They're going to be in the playoffs, more than likely.
Whether it's a wild card or a division round. You look at the Patriots. If the Rams aren't the number 1 team, then the Patriots.
This is going to be the overall number 1 seed in the NFL playoffs. If the season were to end today, that's the number 1 overall seed.
Like even the Cardinals, they have upset games. They have had teams where they've upset teams like the Cowboys. They're scrappy and they can fight, and that's with Kyler Murray too, right? And then you look at obviously the Bills. Like, again,
we knew, and we kind of knew what that was.
Yeah, the Saints is really like the one, and even then, I mean, this is the NFL. We say this every year, but I really think this year, like, anybody can beat anybody.
You have to watch every Sunday.
There's no off weeks.
Because I must admit, I did go into that Rams game being like, hey, let's just go have fun, you boys.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Like, hey, look, man, we got your oranges, we got your Capri Suns here on the side to the game over with. We ain't going to stress this one too much.
No J.C. Horn, like, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're screwed. You had no Christian Rose room against that many tight ends that they run. Bro. You have Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
You have Kyron Williams, like, and that's just their offense.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
then we haven't even got to Jared Verse.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Or freaking, what's the other guy?
Young.
Yeah, dude, Young has been ridiculous too. So to have that game, to see, and especially not only to have that game, to see a resurgence of Chuba, to see a resurgence of Jalen Coker finally coming back into the Jalen Coker we've been waiting for all year long. Like, it was beautiful.
It's pretty big. It's pretty damn big. I know I said it on my podcast. I was like, look, Chuba's finding it right now at the perfect time. And I think we may have the team – it felt like the team may have underplayed his injury.
They definitely did.
That calf injury.
They definitely did.
And we just really weren't that aware how bad it was really hampering him. He's running different.
This is what I'm telling you. With Chuba, he had been a workhorse the entire time he's been here. Hadn't missed, I think, maybe 2 games.
Right.
With the way that they have been with injuries thus far, like, I got to imagine, I don't know if JC plays this game.
It's a possibility he doesn't.
With the way that now I say that, but without Corey Thornton, it's different because I mean, what was it? Mike Jack and
who was
the other cornerback? Would have been not Damani.
I think I saw some of Caleb.
I think it might have been Caleb Evans, but no Corey Thornton. You might press him, but all that to say, like, they have been incredibly conservative at the beginning of the year. Like, with Bryce after the Jets game, with Chuba in the games that he probably didn't need to. But then once they started to realize they can make a playoff push, after that Packers game, really after the Bills game, I think, when they said, okay, well, we can't get by without our starters.
Right.
Like when they were probably going to play, have not had played Chuba. I think they might have put him in earlier had Rico not had the back-to-back games against the Dolphins and the Cowboys. You said, okay, well, we've got him for a year. Let's use him. Let Chuba, who just signed on a huge deal, rest. I think he probably could have rested more. Once that Bills game happens and you see, okay, it doesn't matter if it's just Rico, we can't get any offense going. Right. Once the Packers games happen and you get a more even keel, I think they say, okay, we need to play Chuba the rest of the year. And same thing with, with Bryce. He was not 100% healthy in that Packers game. We knew that.
No, we knew that. Yeah.
From the non-pick and the pick.
Yeah.
We knew he wasn't healthy in that game. And even in some of the other, he's shown like he's gotten better each week and more healthy. I think they have pushed the envelope because of a realization that, like we were saying, I mean, you look at the slate of the playoff picture right now. Rams you got to win against. Packers you got to win against. 49ers you took to the end of the game and should have won that game.
Yeah.
You even look at Seattle, you'll see how you do. You're going to play Seattle, so you see how you're going to do. Outside of, Philly is skyrocketing. No, the reverse, I guess. They're plummeting. They're free falling. Thank you. They're free falling. Whoever comes out of the North, is not invincible.
No.
So you have a real chance. You're going to more than likely host a playoff game. And that's how they saw it, too. I think they've known from a while that the wild card was never in their picture.
Not really. You need too many things to go your way. The NFC has been really stacked this year, truth be told, and it's a very odd year because there are a lot of good teams.
But they're all playing each other.
They are. And they're starting to be and now, these last 4 games is a meat grinder. Everybody's going to start playing divisional opponents. Yeah. Everybody's going to start knocking each other off. So we're going to start seeing there's going to be an opening for a playoff spot somewhere. The main thing is, though, we know what we need to do. What's best for us is to go win the division.
Yeah.
That get you that home playoff game. If you can have somebody have to come to Charlotte.
That's crazy.
I like my chances.
What we just said at the beginning, in the Bank of America Stadium, outside of the 2 games of being the Bills and the Saints, you have been in it. Because even really outside of the Saints game, you've been in every game for a good majority of it. The Bills got away from you without Bryce Young. We knew that. The Saints are the only time where they even were in it to the end.
They were in it. Like they had it. They still very much. They were one drive away from just changing everything and being like, all right, we got a chance to go win it here at the end.
And they just didn't do it. But like all that to say with Chuba, I think his injury was a lot more serious than they led on. And I understand why they did that, because then if your season does go a certain way, you don't want to put him on IR. You don't want to put him away, especially with the other guys you got on IR. And then if it goes poorly, all right, well, keep letting Rico go. You don't want to bring in Chuba and then allow for get some value off for Rico, at a certain point. But then once the trade deadline passes, all right, screw it. We can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever we want. I'm still waiting on a double trouble-esque type of game from those two. Cause I do think it's in the works. I do think it's loading up. I don't know who it's going to be against. I would probably say the Buccaneers, truth be told. Yeah, I think one of those Buccaneers games, you see those two guys run off 100 each.
I think you're gonna see it. I think your best chance is one of those Bucs games, because you probably had a good chance to see it. We started to see it from a play calling perspective against the Rams, but then it turned into a shootout, and you have to go with what you got to do.
Right.
And even with Chuba getting that touchdown, like that was more of his impact of the day, but they still were doling it out kind of evenly.
Yeah.
I think the Seahawks, you could see it only from a perspective of that's going to be a hard game to win over the air.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like that's
Nick Emmanwori, Devin Witherspoon.
That's a new Legion of Boom they got over there.
Yeah.
And then they're getting back what's his name? Their safety who'd been injured. I can't remember his name. Oh, crap. Let me
With Julian Love?
Yeah, they're getting back Julian Love. He had been injured for most of the year, and I think he'll be healthy by that game.
The Seahawks game turned into something different, right? So I thought the Seahawks would be I never thought we could beat the Rams. I'll just go ahead and say that right now. I never thought we were going to beat the Rams. The Seahawks, though, I will say that's a game I did have us winning. But mainly because I'm like, Sam Darnold. And I'm like, now is Sam Darnold playing well? Not really, not particularly. That defense is really good.
And Jackson Smith and Jigba.
And Mike McDonald and JSN's going crazy. Mike McDonald being the defensive play caller he is, that's the guy that I know Baltimore wishes they probably would have.
I don't know why they ever let that. I mean, he's not going to get the money that they're going to give him, but yeah, letting him out the door.
Yeah, no, I probably would never let that happen. I would have had to get somebody to boot. That team is going to be very dangerous because, like I said, if you a defense that good and offensive weapons that are as solid as theirs, they can go in and beat anybody. I think I'm not gonna lie, I'm just not rolling. It's never gonna be a game where I'm going in playing Sam Darnold where I'm scared. I just can't do it. I refuse. And maybe it's me holding on to old things, but I'll just have to do it.
Which is funny because you were a bigger proponent of, hey, Sam Darnold's not actually playing that bad.
He wasn't at the time. He was not. But if I have to go up in competition against him, if I got to pick a quarterback, I'm like, all right, that's a good team. But if that's their quarterback, let's roll. You know what I'm saying?
It really and that's where you can set yourself further apart from the Falcons, right? If you can put up a defense, because that means they eviscerated. Sam Darnold eviscerated that team.
Look, here's the thing. It can also go to. We know it can go the other way.
It was what, like 16-3 at the end of the first half, I think.
Yeah.
And then it just like absolute avalanche.
Crazy.
So it's going to be fun, though, because that's going to become, like, it's going to be the old, like, we talk about rivalries, and as much as, other divisions might want to say it, we have rivalries with the Falcons and the Saints and the Bucks, but that Seahawks rivalry is different.
You know what, though? I'll say this. We probably have more so of a rivalry with the Falcons more than anyone.
Yeah.
Our actual rivalry is the Seattle Seahawks.
It really is.
Like, it really has been no one else, because when we were good, nobody else in the division was hitting on nothing.
No, not in the slightest.
So we were just, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Atlanta would get, and that's why I say Atlanta's the closest thing to it.
Yeah, because you get a spoiler game.
They spoil it. We sweep everybody else though. But the Seahawks was always our test. Like when we were making championship pushes, that was the test. We knew once we could beat them, nobody can stop us. We know nobody's rocking, nobody can touch us. So I think if you were to go beat a Seattle team, that game is here, right?
Yeah, this game's here. It's 2 days after Christmas. And yeah, it's gonna be here. It's you would hope, barring anything, a healthy J.C. Horn. Right. So you're gonna get to see, I would hope and imagine J.C. Horn up against JSN, which is just
love it
for a real ball watcher.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care that it could be negatively affecting your team.
Hey, man, what John Ellis be saying, real sicko watch right here, bro. You know
absolutely. Like, that
real
is.
Sicko watch. Because you're talking about the cornerback that right now is number one in votes for the Pro Bowl right now in J.C. Horn. You're talking about the best receiver in the game this year in JSN. Having a historic year at that. That's not under. Like, I don't want to undermine.
And if he wasn't in the West Coast. And he's finally starting to get the recognition outside of being in the West Coast.
But I do feel like people are still very much slow footing to like, yeah, this is the guy.
And because it's Sam Darnold too, throwing to him.
And because it's Sam Darnold.
But no, you're absolutely right. And so I think it's like, back when the Cardiac Cats, their out of division was the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That was the indicator in the playoffs, they were going to get to, or in season, like it was them and the Cowboys going up against each other. And so for the Panthers, it's been the Seahawks. And you play them 4 times in the span of 2 years, once in the regular season each year, and then once in the playoffs. Yeah. And that's what it's going to come down to this year. Even back when you had the garbage teams. Even they took Seattle to task. Yeah. There, at the end.
Yeah, we went up there on the road.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying.
And had that pull out that win. So I think that you're going to see that kind of game here. And of course we're getting ahead of ourselves, but because funnily enough, that's honestly the one game that doesn't matter.
It does not. No. It means something in terms of when you're trying to lay claim to hey, this we're actually we're really here and y'all really got to come see us. Then that's a game that you want to go get. But like you said, in terms of the division, it doesn't matter. It won't. It's not. I ain't gonna say it doesn't matter. It's just not as impactful as beating the Saints and at least splitting with the Bucks.
The win won't give you a better playoff spot.
Right.
And a loss won't knock you out of the playoffs,
right,
provided that everything continues to go. Because even if the Bucks win outside of us, then even if we lose that game, so long as we beat the Saints and we beat the Bucks twice, that Seahawks loss does nothing for you.
It does nothing.
And to be honest, the superstitious football fan in me would rather us, if that becomes the case, lose that game.
Right.
Because more than likely, with the way it's going to pan out,
you're gonna have to see him.
We're gonna have to see him in the wild card round at home, and I'd rather how how hard it is to beat the same team twice.
Yes.
So
you're absolutely right on that.
I'd kind of honestly rather lose that game and then have the fire to then come around and win it at home, rather than win it and then they have all the motivation they need to beat you in the playoffs when it does matter. But all that to say, I really have liked. I mean that Rams game. Like I know it's been a few weeks, but it's you can't overstate how much of a signature win that was. Probably that's the best win Dave Canales has had.
And that's the thing, like there's like a few games like that right now this year that you can say like, oh no, that was signature. Because if you think about Green Bay, the Green Bay one, sick, bro, crazy game to go win, and that stadium.
Even Dallas, they were saying at the time, like it was literally the commentator saying, this is a signature upset for a Cowboys team that only had 3 wins at the time.
Right, and it's like he's had this is the one though. I will say this Rams game is the one because I thought he called it. I thought he called it great.
Oh, and this was the first time where, from an offensive and a defensive perspective, you did not what we asked for. You didn't back down to a better coach from a strategic standpoint. Yeah. You start calling conservative play calls. 2 touchdowns on 4th downs. You didn't need it on the the Coker one. Because the T-Mac one, okay, he just broke away. Like, he had the space, and he was going to go for the fence. But the Coker one was called to the end zone. That was never going to be a short yardage play.
Dude,
that's crazy.
It shows the trust that I think we can probably nix the conversation about the trust between Bryce and Dave, at least somewhat, because it feels like whatever happens in terms of how Dave calls it, it's based upon whatever he's seen.
That's what we've thus far.
Like, it doesn't feel like it's based upon whether he thinks Bryce can or can't. Because I'm like, Bryce has he's put Bryce in some scenarios where it's like, I don't know if you want to like just
right
2 4th downs against that. You got to trust him. You have no choice but to trust him at that point if you're calling that.
That shows. Like, that's the biggest indicator of that's what your offense can be. And it's funny because I saw someone talk about it on Twitter. I can't remember who posted it, talking about what might have turned around the season for the Panthers. And the play was that 4th down conversion against the Dolphins where Bryce was about to get sacked on the at the hash mark and found T-Mac somehow.
Which, funny enough, is probably what saved your season.
It is, absolutely, because you get that momentum going forward in that game. You get that win to show you can win from behind, win in a shootout.
Right.
And that immediately propels you to the Cowboys game. You have that signature win against the Cowboys.
Yeah, we were 1-3
in
that game.
You were. I mean, we were calling for his head.
Your season's on the line.
Yeah.
Everybody's job is on the line right now. Like,
and that's a pre-Bryce injury. Like, you're getting to that point too where, like, had he played a bad game, you're probably talking benching him again.
You're talking about it. It's definitely on the table.
So I think that to come to this far, like you said, you don't call passing plays with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard on 4th down. I don't care if it's the Rams front 7. Like,
the way you had been running the ball that game too, you had won the line of scrimmage. You had pretty much taken the air out of the football, which was a big reason why you won that game as well, being able to play ball control and win a time of possession. So, yeah, to call that, man, you gotta have you gotta have a real pair in order to be able to pull that off.
And then we've seen, defensively, you talk about the offense, but the defense, like, for how injury-ridden they've been and how many points they will give up, they get it done when it matters. 3 turnovers against a quarterback that had gone.
Threw like 28 touchdowns before. He threw like 28 touchdowns before his next pick.
And it was like 300, 400, I think, even attempts or something like that.
Yeah. He had been going crazy.
And not like even just like, the one off the helmet, Derek Brown has to force. Even Mike Jacks, like, you have to jump for that and take it the other way. Yeah. They weren't just like, dead ducks flying in the air.
Yeah, no, these were plays that had to go get made. Like you said, like the DB play, that's what your defensive linemen are taught to do. Get your hands up. You can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up. Derek Brown, also being one of the best defensive players in football, is going to find a way to impact the game. He does that every week for those that aren't aware. But he's going to find a way to impact the game. Nick Scott with a great play. Nick Scott, too, also has been much better since the beginning of the season. I know we probably owe him some apologies because he's definitely helped stabilize that back end. It's not the greatest, but it's still very much more stable than what it's been at least last year.
It's allowed for Morig to be able to come up more. And like we talked about, Lathan Ransom's ability to cover the ball has allowed for Nick Scott to be out there by himself. Because that's been the bigger problem. As even with whether it was Xavier Woods, like whoever was out there with him was not getting the job done.
Right.
So Nick Scott was kind of put out there like, I mean, yeah, like looking back, what was the man supposed to do against some of the guys that he was going up against, right?
Hey, man.
And I think that has allowed for you to be able to put this together, especially because you also have been able to trust, like, Mike Jack having a DB1 game. To have a 2-pick game without J.C. Horn is crazy.
That's big time. And to speak to Mike Jack, I mean, Mike Jack's he's had his moments all year. When we go back through this season, if things work out the way that we're hoping it does, we'll go back and look at Mike Jack's season and say, like, dog, you had a lot of big time moments. Like, you think about, there are some games where he's getting picked on.
Yeah.
And he's got to make a play, and he's made plays. He's got interceptions. The pick six. If the pick six doesn't happen, you don't win that game against the Rams.
And we're tripping, by the way. Charles Smith Wade, I think, was who was in the corner, and they put a Caleb in the slot, I think, for that one. Either that or that guy they picked up, but I don't think they had him starting already off the rip. But like that has been, and to the point where like I'm not super worried about if we can, if Corey Thornton can come back from this gruesome injury and get back to square one. You're at a point where you're not really worried about your cornerbacks. You're not going to not take help, but it's not a position of desperation anymore when you're looking at the draft as opposed to like linebackers. Like, because as good as Trevor Wallace and Roseman have played, this defense has played well in spite of its resources.
It's still improvements to be made.
Absolutely, but I think that's what's really shown. And so this Saints game, like this, we've talked about it all season long. Like, this is your chance to be consistent. And, like, the Falcons to the Rams was your chance to be consistent.
Right.
And God bless them, because that's the first time they've had two wins back-to-back. It wasn't even back-to-back. I'm sorry. That's right.
We lost.
I said the Falcons and the 49ers was your chance to be consistent. So they didn't have that. Still, like, haven't had two back-to-back wins, I believe, since the Dolphins and the Bucks. So this is truly your chance. Or maybe the Jets they had. I don't remember how the Jets, where that factored in. Jets and Packers? No, because it was the Jets, the Bills, and then the Packers.
Let's see. I'm about to go back and find.
I think Dolphins and Cowboys have been your only two back-to-back wins this season.
I think so. I think you're correct on that, because if I can recall, I
don't think they've had any back-to-back. Not fair that they haven't had back-to-back losses other than the
I'm trying to find the schedule.
The beginning of the year. But this is really your chance to beat God Almighty, to play with consistency, to go into New Orleans without any sort of stipulations about what that team is or what that game's going to be, because you can't look at them sideways or else you're going to choke, and they're going to embarrass you, and then you're going to go back to being 7-7. And you're going to be back to 500, and everyone's going to be like, okay, well, y'all are nothing. So, and the Saints win won't make you look like the best team in the world, but
right.
And you don't got to even mollywop them. At this point, I just want to, like.
You just got to get a win. Style points be damned.
Yeah.
You just go win the game. So, for me, at least for how I picked it, for these last 4 games, I have us beating the Saints.
Yeah.
Beating the Bucks the first time.
Yes.
I had us beating Seattle, and I had us losing to the Bucks in the season finale.
So I believe if it's like we said, it's us twice, the Dolphins and the Falcons.
Yeah.
If they lose, I'll say it tonight, then you can split that game.
Yeah.
But you still have to beat the Saints to get the better overall divisional record, because they lost to the Saints once. I think they lost to the Falcons once already.
Have they?
I believe they had.
Perfect time to fact check. Let's see.
I believe they had lost to the Falcons once, maybe not. They had not. So they've beaten the Falcons once.
Okay.
So they would have split it with the Falcons. Yeah, so that's what it'd be. Because they have split it with the Saints and they split it with the Falcons, if we have the sweep of the Falcons.
Right.
So if we were to split it with the Saints and split it with the Bucks, we have one more divisional win and a tied record overall, and the tiebreaker would go to us because we have that extra divisional win over the Falcons, which makes sweeping them all the sweeter.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I mean, we knew it was big. We knew it was big when we did that, and then the performance that Price had in that game to get the sweep even bigger. So, like I said, and it's fun though. I God Almighty. I mean, think about how long it's been since we've been in this spot.
It's been the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Since because even 2017 was like a weird
It was a weird year.
It almost shouldn't have even happened.
One of the weirder Panther teams I can ever remember watching.
Absolutely,
It was like I'm like, yeah, I mean, you were winning, but like
you still had Stewart on the tail end of his career. You still had
you had a young McCaffrey that you didn't quite know how to use yet, and he hadn't come into his own yet to be able to be as strong as a running back as he is now.
Yeah, I think you still had Olsen. I don't think you had Davis anymore, or maybe you did. I think you might have.
I think that may have been Davis's last year.
I think it might have been. You still had Kuechly, obviously. But then your wide receivers were no, it wasn't.
Oh my God, that was the law firm, bro.
It was the law firm.
It was Brendan Burson, Kalen Clay.
Oh my God, Kalen Clay, Russell Shepard.
I think Demir Bird.
Demir Bird. I don't think they had DJ Moore.
No, we hadn't drafted more yet.
You had Curtis Samuel.
Had Curtis Samuel, but he got injured earlier in that year.
That's right. So we didn't even do nothing. You had literally nobody on that team.
Yeah.
That was and. You didn't even have Torrey Smith, who he had at least a semi-impactful year. Or no, because he might have retired before that.
Torrey Smith comes in next year.
I thought he came in the year before because he was on the All or Nothing squad.
Yeah, that was 2018.
Oh, you're right. Because that wasn't Tepper's team yet.
Yeah.
Tepper, you're right.
This
No, it's been one of the most fun seasons. It's been incredibly aggravating.
But like at this point, I just embrace it, bro. Like especially with how the league has been overall. I'm not getting a worse experience than any other fandom in the game right now,
except for maybe the Colts.
Oh God,
yeah. That's
actually awful.
That's brutal.
That's actually
to have that much and then your season flips around on its head.
So is Anthony Richardson is he on?
They just
don't
IR? Even care. I don't think he's on IR. I just don't think they want to play him. I mean, because they had two other backups that
I know Riley Leonard played
and then got hurt.
Daniel Jones. He got hurt.
That's why they're picking up Phillip Rivers.
Oh,
I think Riley Leonard. I think he did something to his eye or his arm or something like that. That's why they had to pick up Phillip Rivers.
Pick that high that you don't even think can play.
I got it. Yeah, he must be on IR because
he has to be right because for you to be
and just to not even care enough to want to try to use him, especially in this situation where they're not a lock. They weren't even a lock before this injury. The Jags were sticking around,
and they had kind of been.
I guess he was on the. I guess he is on IR. Yeah, but Leonard's got a knee injury. They're hoping he can play. This is from the Colts 2 days ago. They don't know if he'll be cleared for 2020. He won't be He's still on IR. Anthony Richardson is. Leonard is working through the injury, and I think they even had another guy. Brett Ripon. But even then, I think something happened to Ripon, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn.
So, that's what you have to bring in freaking Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, I guess he has some familiarity with the system and whatnot.
I guess so, but God almighty, that's going to be brutal. But all I have to say, there is no surefire team right now in the NFL, and specifically in the NFC, especially that you haven't shown that you can take on. That Seattle game will be a bigger indicator of how you can stand. And so, we talk about it, it might not be a situation where you go into the wild card and lose out.
Yeah. I think if you getting a home wild card game is pretty huge. I'm now I could see if we were having to earn or just a wild card spot to be able to get into the playoffs. Now I'm like that's tougher and that is definitely more Cinderella-esque. But if you have a home playoff game, you have a shot of doing just about anything.
Which is what we said when there was even an inkling of a chance. Don't worry about a wild card. To me, like I said, I don't really care about a wild card entry because more often than not, very rarely, outside of Washington this past year and then the Giants there 2 times, there's a wild card.
I think
even the Bengals, I guess.
I think, even the multiple wild card runs we've had, I think the only time we've went on the road and gotten it done and gotten all and made it past a couple rounds was 2005. Because you had to go on the road against the Giants and the wild card, and you beat the Bears in the divisional and lost to the Seahawks in the championship round.
Because most of the time we've won the division or we're hit number 1 or number 2 to get through to our spots. But the Bengals with Burrow, they were a wild card.
It's just very rare that you can go on the road for every single game and go and storm through.
And more often than not, it's because you have some sort of rookie sensation that's coming around. Like Jane Daniels, C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow. So that was what we wanted. Get that division win. have something to end the season with, right? Because think about it for like the Bears. They could have the Bears have a situation where they could have 11 wins and not get in the playoffs.
Yes.
And that's awful.
It's sickening for sure.
Like to not win the division and you potentially.
But that's just how good the NFC has been this year, man. The NFC has surprisingly, like we always thought the power was in the AFC.
Yeah.
We always thought that. I think we always thought the best overall team was Philly.
Yeah.
At least at a point, right? But we thought the depth of talent, the depth of teams was always in the AFC. You're gonna have a playoff where it's gonna be no Lamar, no Joe Burrow, possibly no Patrick Mahomes. The only elite quarterback in that conference that's gonna be there is gonna be Josh Allen. And then you're gonna have Bo Nix, Drake May, and a bunch of
Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Like
and not to knock those guys, but those have not been the mainstay guys in that conference. So that kind of is what it is. So that conference is wide open. It really feels like if there's any year for the Bills to get to the Super Bowl,
it would have to be this year. Literally,
there's not going to be a better chance. And if you don't get it this year, you actually need to go ahead and just blow the whole thing up.
You really do, because if especially if it's the Patriots get through, because that like
lose to the Patriots this Sunday, man. So and truth be told, I'm nothing on the playoff. I'm nothing on even you in the playoffs.
No, you might not get in at all.
You feel me? I'm just not stunning you at that point. Then you have the best player in the game probably right now in Josh Allen. Even still,
but even he's having an inconsistent.
It's inconsistent, and it's because they're so heavy, because they lack so much talent on the outside. You're relying on him to do everything. It's leading to more turnovers, which is what you thought you had solved once you made the switch from Ken Dorsey to Joe Brady. You thought you had solved the turnover issues, but when you had the lack of talent and the lack of threats on the outside, this is kind of what you're left with.
And you can't just give it to James Cook every play. Like, it's not going to work. And so, but God forbid, if you have the Patriots like climb out of, it's been, I guess, at this point now, what, a good 5-6
about 5
years, I'd say.
About 5-6 years.
But to come into Vrabel's first year and immediately get punch this ticket, that's going to be just sickening to watch. And so, I really, or it's going to be the Broncos again. A resurgence that is not taking them that long either.
The Broncos defense, man, with how they get after the quarterback, and Bo Nix does just enough. And that's the thing about a lot of these young quarterbacks. Just enough. Like Bo Nix does just enough. Caleb Williams does just enough. Even our guy, Bryce Young, does just enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's that's the playoff push. That's the playoff field that you're looking at right now. You're looking at a bunch of young guys that we just don't know.
Absolutely not. And, and I'll say about the Broncos defense and just a little bit of pettiness, there is one guy, though, that hasn't had a pick for the Broncos who is supposed to be the best cornerback in the NFL. Just saying. Very interesting. 0 picks. But I'll be that as it may. There is, as Panthers fan, I can't, be like, hey, guys, there's a chance, because I just can't. I can't do that.
You gotta go get the job done, man. It's a week to week thing. All the stuff we've said in this episode, if you're still listening to it at this point, do understand it's a week to week game. Only thing that matters is the game in front of you. Beat the Saints.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'll write it up for you right now. They're gonna lose to the Saints. And the Bucs probably will lose to the Falcons, even if they beat the Falcons. Actually, no, I think they have to lose to the Falcons if we lose to the Saints. Then they'll beat the Bucs. Then they'll lose to the Seahawks, and it will come down to that final game to get you an that's just because if they lose, that's the most Panthers thing, especially this year. Have the game against the Rams, have a bye week, go into New Orleans,
right,
lose out of that one, then have a great game against Tampa Bay.
And because as much as I want to push back against what you said, I'm like, I can't. I can't. I truthfully cannot push back on that, because that's been how it's gone this year. I just gotta hope that maybe we found some semblance of consistency over that bye week, and with the opportunity not being laid out there in front of you, don't go lay an egg. But again, you've had other opportunities to do this as well.
Yeah.
The first game against New Orleans was a grand opportunity to do it. The game against San Fran was a grand opportunity to stake your claim in the NFC in general.
Yeah.
So, you have to go. It has to be proven. And like you said, I'm not picking it. We're not picking the game. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all what my predictions about 6 months ago were. You know what I'm saying?
before any of this chaos happened. And, of course, like, there's one point where I'm like, I really wish they didn't have the bye week. I would have rather had gone from the Rams game straight to the Saints game, no rest.
I ain't gonna lie, we needed that.
No, we did. I'm glad they got it.
Way.
So all that say, they can control their own destiny to a point, depending upon how the game goes tonight as well. So get your hate watching in. You did it on Sunday. You can do it again
You feel me?
tonight. And then pray to whoever you believe in that they can get the job done. But until then, keep pounding.